The sharp splash of water breaking the midnight stillness jolted John Parker from his Texas porch as the moon hung low over his 200-acre ranch. A sudden ripple that sent a shiver through the night air, his rifle leaping to his hands as the coffee mug slipped from his grip, shattering on the weathered boards with a crash that echoed across the plains, the shards glinting faintly in the lunar glow. He stood tall, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest, the burn scar on his forearm throbbing as he squinted toward the lake, its silver surface shimmering under the crescent moon. The faint clink of metal and the low murmur of voices cutting through the cool March breeze. After yesterday's dusk victory in the hollow, where John's sharpshooting had doused Lang's fiery trap, he'd hoped for a night to mend the ranch's scars and Ethan's resolve. But now the air thrummed with danger, the lake's shadow hiding a new threat, and he'd face it with the steel of his 54 years. He stormed across the yard to the barn, saddling Dusty with hands steady from decades of grit, the chestnut mare snorting nervously as he swung into the saddle, her ears twitching at the distant sounds. And he rode hard toward the lake, rifle raised high, the wildflowers along the plains swaying in the moonlight, their colors muted by the night, his mind racing as he prepared to defend the ranch's lifeline. The air was cool and thick with the scent of damp earth and pine as he spurred Dusty across the open ground, the moon casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the plains, the lake's edge a shimmering expanse reflecting the crescent's pale light, its surface rippling with unnatural disturbance. He reined in near the lake's northern shore, dismounting with a thud that sank his boots into the soft mud, his eyes narrowing as the scene unfolded like a predator stalking its prey. 5 figures in black tactical gear, their faces obscured by balaclavas, moved silently along the shore, 2 hauling a large metal canister toward the water, its label glinting in the moonlight, industrial toxin, while the others set up a pump, hoses snaking into the lake, their intent clear: poison the ranch's water supply. A silent death for the cattle and the land. Beyond them, a 6th figure stood on a low rise overlooking the lake, a familiar silhouette in a pristine suit, silver hair catching the moon's glow. Victor Lang, Grayson's lawyer, a radio in hand as he whispered orders, his voice a cold hiss carried by the breeze. The water lapped gently, a deceptive calm, and John's blood ran cold, suspicion hardening into fury, his finger tightening on the trigger as he chambered around, the click faint but resolute, his breath steady despite the rage boiling in his veins. This was no loud assault. Lang had turned to stealth, the lake's shadow his weapon, and John would strike from the darkness. He crept forward, rifle raised, the shadows of the wildflowers cloaking his approach, the old war wound flaring with a dull ache as he flanked the mercenaries, their hoses hissing as they began to pump. The canister's contents glugging ominously into the lake, the water's surface darkening with each drop. The moon cast a pale glow, illuminating a mercenary adjusting the pump, a wiry figure with a knife strapped to his chest, and John took aim, his sharpshooter's eye locking on the hose, firing a single shot that cracked through the night, the bullet severing the hose clean, toxic liquid spraying as the mercenary yelped, stumbling back, his hands slick with the poison. The others spun, weapons swinging up, pistols and a submachine gun glinting in the moonlight, but John was already moving, rolling low across the muddy shore, the water lapping at his boots as he fired again, the shot tearing through the pump's motor, sparks flying as it sputtered and died. The mercenaries cursing as they scrambled for cover behind a cluster of rocks. Lang shouted, "Take him out, now!" His voice sharp, but John rose, rifle steady, towering over the shore, his voice steel cutting through the night. "Drop it, or I drop you." The mercenary with the submachine gun, a stocky brute, opened fire, bullets spraying wild, water splashing as they hit the lake. But John dove behind a fallen log, the wood splintering under the barrage, his sharpshooters eye tracking the shooter through the moonlight. He fired a perfect shot, the bullet grazing the brute's arm, sending the gun clattering into the water, the man howling as he clutched his wound, his balaclava slipping to reveal wide, panicked eyes. Another mercenary, a tall figure with a pistol, charged, firing as he ran, but John rolled, mud caking his denim, and fired back, the bullet shattering the man's pistol, the weapon flying as he staggered, clutching his hand, his fight drained under the moon's cold stare. The two hauling the canister dropped it, drawing knives, their blades glinting as they flanked John. But he sprang up, rifle swinging, slamming the butt into the first jaw with a crack that sent him sprawling into the shallows. Water splashing as he groaned, the knife sinking into the mud. The second lunged, blade slashing, but John sidestepped, years of grit honed sharp, grabbing the man's wrist and twisting hard. The snap of bone loud as the knife fell, the mercenary collapsing with a cry, his balaclava soaked as he hit the water. "You're done," John roared, swinging the rifle toward Lang, who stood frozen, his smirk gone, the radio trembling in his grip as the remaining mercenary hesitated, pistol wavering under the moon's pale light. Lang hissed, "Fall back, go," but John charged, closing the gap, wrenching the radio free and slamming Lang against a tree, the bark scraping his suit as he gasped, the lake's shimmer casting stark shadows across his pale face. "Who's next?" John growled, pressing the rifle barrel to Lang's chest, the metal cold against his shirt, the water lapping below. "Grayson's done. Talk, or you're next." Lang's breath hitched, voice ragged, defiance cracking. "Grayson, jail king. Wants you dry. Ranch dead. I'm the shadow. More coming." His eyes darted to the ridge, fear flickering, and John's rage flared. The lake's poison a bitter testament as he hauled Lang back, the mercenaries groaning in the mud, their sabotage drowned in the moonlight. Headlights flared through the night. Frank's truck roaring up with a growl, mud spraying, Mary Ellen's mare beside it, shotgun grip tight, Jake and Ethan piling out, Tom with rope, Sarah and Matt trailing. Faces fierce in the moonlight. "What's this?" Frank barked, pistol gleaming, eyeing the canister, the sprawled mercenaries. John spat mud, voice rough, shoving Lang forward. "Lang's poison. Grayson's hit. Try to taint the lake." "Stop him, barely." Mary Ellen swung down, boots thudding, her voice steady. "Stop him good." Sniper in the dark, John. Ethan charged, grabbing a mercenary, wrenching him up, voice raw. "You poisoned our water?" "I'll—" John gripped his shoulder, steadying him, rifle close, the lake shimmering below. "Enough, they're done," John said, tone steel over the breeze. "Ethan, check the lake." "Jake, don't dying." "Hargrove's next." Jake tossed rope to Ethan, who nodded, hand steady as he checked the water, trust forging in each step. Tom binding the mercenaries as Frank kicked a pistol clear, Mary Ellen covering with her shotgun, Sarah calling Hargrove, Matt tracing the canister's label. "Dan, Lakeshore, 5 down, sabotage." "Grayson's hit," Sarah said, voice crackling. Dawn broke gold, the lake calm, the crew gathered, coffee steaming, Ethan firm, the map marked with triumph, cattle lowing steady. "Shadows down," Frank said, pistol gleaming. "But Lang's alive. Watch the dark." John met Ethan's gaze, voice steel. "You held. Lake's ours. Stay true." Across the ridge, a light blinked, binoculars then gone. He chambered around, the click loud, ready for the next shadow.